take the time out to join us, because we could be doing many other things, but we chose to be here in our presence this evening. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. And let me welcome you all that are online with us this evening. So welcome those that will be coming on later. As you have heard, it's a joint meeting between the Kiwanis Club of Kingston and the Kiwanis Club of Barnett. Tonight, again, as usual, we have a very interesting lineup. The guest speaker is the Honorable Dr. Lloyd Barnett. He was talking tonight on Constitution. He's a Constitution expert, as we all know. And the question is tonight, do we really need to replace the Governor General with a president when Jamaica becomes a republic? Very interesting. I've been hearing a lot of discussion on this topic unofficially, but tonight we will listen and share with Dr. Lloyd Barnett. Dr. Lloyd, are you on? Dr. Honorable Dr. Lloyd Barnett, are you on? Welcome. Welcome. Okay, so we'll start the program with a welcome and introduction of our visiting club, and we'll ask our President-elect, Newton Rambad, to do that section for us. PE?
Hi, President Junior. Good evening.
How are you doing? Good evening.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone else. Nice to be here. We know that this evening is really going to be a big evening. You know, special welcome to our guest speaker, the Honorable Dr. Lloyd Barnett, OJ. And you know, you can judge the level of the esteemed level of Dr. Barnett by the fact that whenever he's in a room of well-learned persons and he starts to speak, everybody else shut up, because you know he always has something to say that nobody else ever thought about. So welcome, sir. We know it's going to be a great evening. I'd also want to acknowledge, I see online we have DLG Gertlin. Hi, DLG. Welcome. I see also DLG Hewitt.
Thank you, P. Newton.
Hey, great having
it's
you.
Great to be on. I'm going to listen keenly.
Okay, great. As will all of us.
Yes.
What do you think?
Wonderful and interesting meeting.
Great. Right.
I'm also going to be listening keenly.
Okay.
This is supposed to be a very interesting meeting.
Oh, it's going to be a great meeting, that I can tell you. Right. I see also DLG Joe, you know, and as usual, DP Paul, welcome, sir. We know you're all the way in Japan, but you never miss a meeting. So great to have you.
Thanks for seeing me.
Always DLG Joe.
All right. Thank you.
So I know the Honorable Dr. Lloyd will have a lot to say. So let me get through this section quickly so I don't take up any of his time. So let's start with clubs outside of Jamaica. Are there any clubs outside of Jamaica with us this evening? Do we have any club outside of Jamaica on the platform with us this evening? Okay, and it would be remiss of me if I didn't also acknowledge the presence of the other members of the Kiwanis Club of Barbican, along with President Chantal. I know President Chantal already, you know, made it known that you're here, but welcome all, seeing that this is a KCOK platform.
Yes.
Any clubs with us in Division 25?
Yes, as usual, the Kiwanis Club of Hopewell is here. There are two of us I've seen so far. We look forward to a wonderful meeting and a great presentation. Thank you, DLG Joe.
Thank you, DLG Joe. And you know, one thing with this guest speaker, one thing we can promise you. You had other places to be. You chose to be with us this evening, and you won't regret it. You and your delegation. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other club in Division 24? Okay, what about clubs in Division 23 East? East?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good everyone. I'm Treasurer Curlin from the Kiwanis Club of Trafalgar. Happy to join the meeting this evening, and we're 3 in numbers. Hoping for a wonderful meeting. Thank you.
Great to have you on your delegation, Curlin. I'm sure it will be a good evening. Thank you. Thank you for accepting the invitation. Any other club from Division 23 East?
Begani, DP Michael here. And I think DP Marlon is here with me too.
Okay, gentlemen, welcome. Glad you could join us.
Oh, DP Mel is on too, so 3 of us.
Okay. It's great to have you. Glad you could join us. Okay. Any club from Division 23 West?
Hi, good night. This is Kiwani and Lucian from the Kiwanis Club of Greater Portmore. We're currently 3 in delegation. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you, Kiwani and Lucian. Glad you accepted the invitation. And remember, it's an open invitation to join us every Tuesday, 7 o'clock.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Hi.
Go ahead.
Yes, PE Newton. This is LG Pauline bringing you greetings from Division 23 West and all the members therein. It's my pleasure to be here this evening. And as was mentioned earlier, I'll be listening keenly to what is being said. Thanks so much for this opportunity.
Oh, the pleasure is always LG Pauline. And we're glad you found the time to accept the invitation. It will be a good evening. Any other club in Division 23 West?
Yes, good evening. This is President Sidani from Kiwanis Club of Young Professionals St. Catherine. Yes. So far, we are 2 members. We're very happy to join you, and we are really looking forward to a great meeting. Thank you.
Okay, great. Glad to have you. And I think DP Donnell, you were about to say something a while ago when I think I switched on you.
Yes, you're correct.
Go ahead.
I bring you all on the platform greetings from the Kiwanis Club of Portmore on behalf of President Bashan. And presently we are 4 in numbers, and we're looking forward to learning some things this evening. And thanks for the invite.
Okay, it was our pleasure. I can tell you, DP, we're now 72 and growing. I bet you that by the time the Honorable Dr. Lloyd, it's the stage we're gonna be over 100. Thank you for being amongst the number. Okay, any other club in Division 23 West?
Hi, good evening.
Hi, DLG Christine.
Bringing greetings on behalf of our President Barnett and the members of the Kiwanis Club of the First City. Really happy to be here this evening and looking forward to a very informed meeting. At the end of it, I hope I'll be able to decide, what we want in this country for ourselves. I see 2 of us on the platform so far. I'm not sure if others have joined yet, but I do expect quite a few others from my club. And I'm DLG Christine. Thank you so much for inviting us. Thank you, DLG Willie, for sending to us.
You're welcome, Christine.
Well, thank you, DLG Christine, for joining us. One thing I can tell you is that with Dr. Barnett, what you're going to be hearing is the unvarnished truth.
True.
Not right. It's not gonna be biased one way or the other. You're going to get the truth, and then you can make up your mind. So
indeed, that's what I'm looking forward. Indeed.
Okay.
Thanks again.
Okay. And I must say welcome also to DP Richard. I saw you, sir. Glad you're with us. Okay. Any other club in Division 23?
Happy to have joined, yes.
Thank you, sir. Any other club in Division 23 West?
Good evening. I'm Director Ephraim from Kiwanis Club of North Spanish Town. We are 2 in numbers right now, but we expect more to join soon.
Okay, Director Ephraim. Thanks. Happy you and your delegation could join us.
This is
Any other? Sorry, go ahead.
This is D.V. Durbin from the Kiwanis Club of Spanish Town. Having heard the LG, Pauline, and DLG Hewitt.
Yes.
So I thought our president was supposed to be online. I think he's there, but not hearing him, I am bringing greetings on behalf of the Kiwanis Club of Spanish Town. We look forward to a very, very well-informed, educated suggestions as to how we may move forward. Dr. Barnett is the most level-headed of the commentators so far, and we personally look forward to hearing further from him. We look forward to a wonderful meeting, and thanks for the invitation.
And so say all of us, DP Durban. We expect nothing less from Dr. Barnett. And thanks to you and your delegation for joining us this afternoon. All right. Do we have any club in Division 23 West? And I'm asking you, your persons on the platform, please forgive me. Please forgive me. I know DLG Gertlin might want to say, why is it that you're pressing so fast on the gas? It's because I know Dr. Barnett have so much to say.
Don't worry about it.
I don't want to take up much of his time.
I understand. Please go right ahead.
All right.
Accelerate.
All right. Any club in Division 23 Central? Any club with us in Division 23 Central? From Division 23 Central.
Oh, yes. Good evening, PD Newton. How are you doing?
I am fine, thank you.
Okay, wonderful. As you know, I'm PD Eurydice from the Kiwanis Club of 23 Central Surrey Online. And at this time, we have a delegation of 3 to include LG Desmond, who is a dual member for your club, and Treasurer Melvin. So thank you so much for having us. Have a good night.
And thank you for always lending your support. It is going to be a good evening.
Yes.
Any other club from Division 23 Central? Okay, what about SLPs? Do we have any SLPs? I hope we have some SLPs online with us, because this is their country, this is their future, so they need to know what we're getting into.
Right.
Any SLP?
No, unfortunately, there's none on the call.
Okay.
Okay. Well, the good thing is that we record these meetings so we can make it available to them, so that they can avail themselves of the information that will be passed on this evening. How about guests of Kiwanians? Do we have any guests of Kiwanians with us this evening? No guests of Kiwanians? Okay. Is there anyone online who is not a Kiwanian, is not a guest of a Kiwanian, but just joined us this evening because they are interested in the topic? Would like, if you want, you can, acknowledge that you're here so we can welcome you. Anyone?
Good evening. I'm Priscilla Chambers. I was invited by Pauline Brown. I'm not certain if she's a Kiwanian.
Yes.
Yes. Well, Priscilla Chambers, I can tell you this. Whether you were invited by a Kiwanian or you just walked in, we are always happy to have you.
Thank you.
And I want to let you know it is an open invitation. We are here every Tuesday at 7 o'clock. Anytime you want, just walk in. You don't need an invitation.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Newton, I don't know if New Kingston introduced themselves. I'm not sure. I didn't hear.
No, they didn't.
If they didn't, I know my president President Aldridge would love me to say, we are here because we need to know. I know there are already 8 members on. I saw them on. I don't know why they didn't introduce themselves. But New Kingston is here because we want to learn. Have a wonderful meeting and blessings always.
I kind of suspect that everybody is so sitting on the edge of their chair, DLG, to hear what Dr. Barnett has to say.
Yes,
some of us
yes,
forget to introduce ourselves.
Kiwanis Club of New Kingston is no different. We're here.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for you and your delegation for being here.
Thank you.
This is Hugh
Good night. Good night, President Newton.
All right. One second. I think Hugh Dunbar was about to speak.
Yes, thank you. I am Hugh Dunbar. I'm not a Kiwanian, but I'm the son of a former Kiwanian. I'm Dr. Dunbar. I'm here to hear Dr. Barnett and find out what he has to say about the Constitution.
And I tell you something, Mr. Dunbar, your father was a smart man because he was a Kiwanian. So I think you need to follow in his footsteps. Kiwanis Club of Kingston is here inviting you, sir, to give us a call.
Well done.
I will see what I can do, sir.
Okay, sir.
Wonderful.
You don't have to do much. You just give us the call, we'll do the rest.
Thank you.
All right. I think Director Peter was about to say something. Was it Director Peter?
That's good. That's correct. Good night, President Newton. This is Director Peter from Kiwanis Club of Papine. I'm here, anxious to hear what Dr. Barnett has to say. I know he's an eloquent and very learned gentleman, so I'm anxious to hear what he has to say about the Constitution. I'm expected to be joined by members of my club.
Yeah.
On this
well, thank you for being with us, Director Peter. I mean, you say he's an very eloquent gentleman. I mean, I've often heard them refer to him as a genius. So I mean, we will get some of that tonight. Thank you and your delegation for being with us. Anyone else would like to introduce himself?
Yes, good evening.
Hi.
Hi, this is Past President Nadine of the Kiwanis Club of Hopewell. We are happy to be in your meeting this evening. There are 5 of us on the call this evening, inclusive of Kiwanis International Trustee Hope Marks. We're looking forward to a wonderful evening and a very informative evening. Do have a wonderful meeting. Blessings.
Hi, Past President Nadine and KIT Hope and delegation. Glad you could be with us. Always happy to have you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else who would like to say hi? Okay, well, let me not...
P. Newton, just one second.
Go ahead,
There is somebody among the list of attendees with the name BELLM, who was earlier requesting permission by remote control of the screen. Now, what I don't know is if this person is connected to Dr. Barnett, because I don't know if somebody was assisting him with the online process. So I don't know who he is because that's not a name.
I think it's I saw it's not a him. I think it was a her. Dr. Barnett, BELLM, right? Right. Dr. Barnett.
Oh, that is that Dr. Barnett? Because I'm seeing his name separately, but that's what that particular name actually was requesting it. I don't know if they're meant to share screen. I don't know if that's what they really want, but that can be provided. That's not a problem. But I just want to know if that was somebody connected with the guest. All right, let's go along. Let's go along. Nobody is answering, so let's go along.
If BELLM or Dr. Barnett is listening.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm here as Lloyd Barnett.
Hi, Dr. Barnett.
Hello. Good evening.
Oh, so you are BELLM, right? Is that what I just want to clear? Is that it?
No. Lloyd Barnett.
Okay, so BELLM, we're not sure who you are, so you can just communicate with us in the chat, read your requests, and we can straighten it out there. So let me not stay on much longer because I know you didn't come here to listen to me. So it's great to have you all here. It's gonna be a wonderful evening. You remember earlier on when I started to speak, I said it was 71 of us online, but I expected it to be over 100. Well, it's now 97, and Dr. Barnett hasn't even hit the screen as yet. So thank you for being with us and have a great evening. It's back to you, President Junior.
Thank you, P.E. Newton. And let us go on with this. We'll move to the next item on the agenda, apologies for absence. Are there any apologies for absence at this time? And President Chantal, do you have any apologies for absence from your club?
No, none from me.
Okay. Dear
Well,
G,
yes, Secretary Kamara was unable to make the meeting this evening. That's the only apology I have.
okay. Okay, Prez. Dear
No,
G,
President Junior, didn't receive any apologies.
okay, let us.
Good night,
let us-
President Junior.
Hi,
Kiwanian
how are you?
and Andy here, doing good, thanks. Apologies for Chairman Zuri, who has been held up at work. He hopes to join the meeting and be edified by the meeting as well.
Okay, thank you. And I do hope that he will join us later on, at least. Dear G, Christine, how are you? You're shouting out to you. And my friend, DP Ephraim, are you still on?
Yes, Prez.
Yes. Good evening.
Happy to be here. How are you doing?
Glad to have you.
President Stuart, good night.
Hi, I recognize the voice, Ephraim.
Yes, man. Yes, man. Good.
All right, good. We are in two good organizations together, aren't we? Okay, let us yes. Let us move on. So we'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is recognition of birthdays and anniversaries. And first we'll have a VP Stephen, and I noticed that you are there. Afterwards, we'll have a President Chantal. VP?
Yes, President. I'm here loud and clear. Good evening to you.
First up.
Good evening to fellow Kiwanians. Good evening to guests. My duty is to share with you some of the Kiwanians who are having anniversaries or birthdays for this week, that is May 1st through May 8th. We have quite a few Kiwanians, so I'll quickly go through them. If you happen to know any of these Kiwanians or their wives, please also extend to them a greeting or a well wish as the need arises. So first of all, today, Kiwanian Hamlin Pagan and his wife Minerva have their wedding anniversary. So congratulations to them. On the 3rd of May, Director David Hall, not sure if David is here on the meeting, he and his wife Carol have their anniversary on May 3rd. So happy anniversary to them when that comes tomorrow. On May 6th, Kiwanian Jerome Gale celebrates his birthday. And then finally, PD Terrence Jarrett from Altamont Court, as some of you may know, celebrates his birthday on May 7th. Those are the Kiwanians who have birthdays and anniversaries, but we, as P.E. Newton says, we have almost 105 people who are participating this evening. And I'd like to ask if there's anybody else who has a special occasion, a birthday coming up this week, wedding anniversary, in any other special occasion that you'd like to share with us at this time.
Yeah, good night. Today is my birthday. Peter
Director Peter, yes. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
What are you celebrating? How many years on this goodly earth?
66 years.
All right. By the grace of God, I hope that you see many more, and every day is a blessing. So special birthday greetings to you, sir. From all over the Kiwanis Club of Kingston. Anybody else celebrating? May 2nd, special, May 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. If not, I wish everybody a pleasant evening, and like everyone else, I look forward to the presentation by Dr. Lloyd Barnett, fellow counsel, and thank you all for coming out and sharing this evening with us. Back to you, President Junior.
Thank you. Thank you. President Chantal, it's your
Yes.
turn.
Okay, so evening again, everyone. Okay, so for Kiwanis Club of Barbican, we would like to acknowledge birthdays that have passed, would have been would have happened since our last meeting to current, and then we will highlight birthdays for May. So we have 2 birthdays, March 30th, that's DP Dane and Kiwanian Giovanna.
And then for April 11, we have we have Kiwani and Keris. And then April 22nd was my birthday. And for May, we have May 11, that's Kiwani and Tamra K. And May 25th, we have Kiwani and Jelon.
Okay.
No anniversaries or any other special occasions.
So that's it, President?
Yes, that's it from me.
Did you say it was your birthday had passed or it's coming?
My birthday had passed April 22nd. Big up all Taurus people in the house.
Happy birthday, my dear. All right. Anybody else online with birthday that would just like to say quickly? So we can say happy birthday. Having birthday now. Anybody else online? Hey, well, happy birthday to you all, and we'll just get it on and move to our next item, which is Kiwanis education. And we are going to be asking LGB Desmond, Bachelor that is, to do it for us.
Good evening, President, good evening, fellow Kiwanians and SLPs and guests. Topic, can you hear me, President?
Yes, I'm hearing you now.
Okay. Topic is on discipline. Conduct on becoming a member of the Kiwanis.
You went out just now, DP.
You're muted, this one.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, hearing you now.
All right.
You were muted before.
Conduct on becoming a member of the Kiwanis family is defined in the Kiwanis international policy as any conduct that is incompatible with the best interests of the public or of members of the Kiwanis family or tends to harm the standing of Kiwanis in the local or global community. A club shall discipline any member whose conduct is determined by the club to be a conduct on becoming a member of the Kiwanis family, or else the club shall be considered out of compliance with acceptable standards of Kiwanis International and may have its charter suspended or revoked as provided in the Kiwanis International bylaws. That's it, President. Thank you.
And thank you very much. And it's very appropriate at this time. Okay, on to our major item for the night. And I'm going to be asking DP Arturo to do it, to do the introduction of the guest speaker. And our chairman, Stewart, will take over this section of the proceedings. Thank you. DP Arturo.
Thank you very much, President Stewart, President Junior.
Yes.
It's certainly an honor and a pleasure for me this evening to introduce Dr. Lloyd Barnett, who I will not say needs no introduction because he's so prominent, but I just like to say that Dr. Lloyd Barnett has been regarded as the person, you have heard the term, you sit at the feet of Gamaliel to learn what there is to be learned. And from I came into the practice 49 years ago, I have been learning from Dr. Barnett continuously, and I am most happy that he's still around to continue his spreading his learning, and indeed contributes in so many different areas of the law. So let me deal with it on the resume that I have. I won't take too long, but Dr. the Honorable Lloyd Barnett, OJ, BA, LLB, LLM, and PhD. And then there's a whole list of honorary law degrees that he has earned from UTech, UWI, and around the place. I won't go into that. But he has came into the profession as a barrister. And one of the things I would also mention that one may wonder, why is it Dr. Barnett is not Queen's Counsel or King's Counsel? No, it is well known among members of the profession, especially the senior members, that Dr. Barnett is certainly one of those who has very strong views about Jamaica's thing with the crown, and has turned down the designation Queen's Counsel. So he has not only displayed a lot of knowledge about constitutional affairs, but has displayed that he is not interested in continuing with this thing of being a part of the crown countries. So, but he is well recognized in the court as being senior, and is often given preference by King's Counsel and Senior Counsel when he's addressing the court, and we all treat him as a senior counsel. He was a founding member. Well, first of all, he has appeared as counsel in several important cases in public, commercial, and property law in the Superior Courts of Jamaica and several Caribbean courts, as well as the Privy Council and the Caribbean Court of Justice. He was a founding member of the Jamaican Bar Association, serving as its president on 2 separate occasions. Among other organizations, Dr. Barnett was chairman of the General Legal Council, that's the governing body for all lawyers, and he was also chairman of the Jamaica Council for Human Rights, the University Council of Jamaica, and the Caribbean Council of Legal Education, and is the chairman of Citizens Action for Free and Fair Elections, CAFE. So you will have seen him in action each time we have had a general election. He also served as president of the Organization of Commonwealth Caribbean Bar Association, and has represented the private bar on the Rules Committee of the Supreme Court. He's the author of 2 books on Jamaica's Constitution and numerous articles on legal subjects, which have earned him the respect of judicial and academic authorities. Dr. Barnett was a member of the Regional Judicial and Legal Services Commission at its inception, and deputy chairman from 2012 to 2016. He has been a civil society leader, clearly, human rights advocate, and served as a senator in the Parliament of Jamaica on a previous occasion. In 1999, Dr. Barnett was awarded a Jamaica National Honor as the Order of Jamaica, hence his title, the Honorable Dr. Barnett, for his outstanding contributions in the field of jurisprudence in the region. Both the University of Technology and the University of the West Indies have conferred honorary degrees on in law on Dr. Barnett. And in 2006, the Continuing Legal Education Group launched the annual Dr. Lloyd Barnett Lecture Series in his honor. It is indeed an honor and pleasure for me to ask you to welcome Dr. Lloyd Barnett as he will make his presentation on the Constitution. Please welcome Dr. Barnett. Dr. Barnett, having regard to the virtual presentation, you won't hear the applause, but believe you me, it is there. So I invite you to proceed accordingly.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, President. Welcome to all the Kiwanians and their colleagues who are joining with us in this discussion. I've been asked to answer a specific question.
and not to give a lecture. But the question is, do we really need to replace the Governor General with a president when Jamaica becomes a republic? Now, normally in court, we tell people if the answer is yes or no, just answer that and say nothing more. But I don't believe the chairman would approve of my taking that approach. So that I will examine the question. And the first thing I want to bring to your attention is that the question says, when Jamaica becomes a republic. So that is a sign of positiveness, resolution, which I greatly welcome, because in the 60th year of independence, we're about to enthrone a king and begin to bow down to him. And it is extraordinary that Jamaicans, after centuries of slavery and oppression, would still be willing to be bowing to an English monarch. So that I welcome the decisiveness which is implied in the question, which is that we will become a republic. In relation to the question of do we really need to replace the Governor General with the president when Jamaica becomes a republic, the answer is no. But I think the implications of the question goes far beyond its literary formulation. And it should be, do we really find it desirable to replace the Governor General with a president when Jamaica becomes a republic? Because there is no compulsion in replacing the Governor General with a president if you have a republic. Many republics exist with the elected president and no other formal officer. But our present constitutional system, if we retain it, would require, or not necessarily require, but if we continue with its basic pattern, would involve the existence of a formal head of state. What is the reason for that? In the past, we have been accustomed to having a non-partisan political person as the titular head of state. Because of our colonial status and continuing the relationship with the monarchy, that person is in fact declared to be the representative of the English monarch, but is in fact a formal head of state in Jamaica. Because of that, that person represents the national image, national aspirations, and represents all of Jamaica. So that the notion is that if you have a non-political person, a non-partisan person, then it is easier for that person to represent the nation. And that allows you to escape the problem of a political leader who succeeds to the leadership of the country by virtue of a contested election, suddenly becomes the head and representative of the entire nation. But it is possible to have that situation and still recognize your national status and still have national unity and national identity. In countries the one which we view most frequently, like the United States. The head of state is an elected president who is head of government, head of state at the same time. But as we have seen, certainly in the last few years, it is possible for that person to be very divisive and not really to represent the nation. So that there is that risk that if you have a system of government in which the formal head of state is also the executive head of state, and that person is the leader of a political party and achieves that status because of having won in a contested election, it may be a bit challenging to convert that person immediately into a symbol of national unity. That is the essential reason why in countries which adopt the Republican form, even where they retain the parliamentary cabinet system, as in Jamaica, nevertheless have a former president like Trinidad and Tobago, Dominica, and so on. So that it is a choice which is based on that symbolic requirement in the first place. In practical terms, if this Republican status that we are craving after becomes a reality, and we have a president, and if that president is not the political head of government, but a formal head of state, that person will have some formal functions to perform, opening parliament, conferring national honors, being present at military parades, being present at important functions, being the person who receives foreign heads of states and diplomats. A massive amount of the activity is therefore formal. And it is possible to have those activities distributed among other persons, including an elected head of state. In Jamaica, we have gone a little further in relation to the formal head of state, in that there are certain powers which are given to the Governor General. Important examples of those relate to his being chairman of the local privy council, which is called in most countries the Mercy Committee. That is the constitutional organ that grants pardons and reprieves. But it is quite possible for that function to be performed by the local privy council without having to have a president who is merely a formal president presiding or appointing that privy council. Another function which the president performs is appointment of certain persons, like the Chief Justice or President of the Court of Appeal, but that is done, as in many cases, other cases, on the advice of the Prime Minister. Some functions he performs are performed on the advice of the Prime Minister after consultation with the leader of the opposition to give that particular function a bipartisan basis. But again, it's a formality because at the end of the day, the political advice that he gets has to be followed. And in other cases, we have, because of our particular political experience, created institutions, the most important of which is the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, in which there are independent members as well as political party representatives, and the independent members are appointed by the Governor General. So in a new system, the president could appoint such a person. So that there are, as I say, a number of important constitutional functions which are performed by a Governor General and which could be transferred to a president in a Republican system. But it is true to say also that it is possible to distribute those functions and to assign them to persons other than having to establish a separate and distinct office of president, who is essentially a figurehead. Some persons point to the substantial cost of maintaining such an office, and are of the view that King's House, which should be renamed anyhow, could best be a national monument and a national library. And, you know, the grounds could be a great national park, so that the Jamaican nationality and identity would be reflected in that place rather than in something called King's House, and in which we have somebody who is representative of the English monarch. So the simple answer to your question is, it is not necessary, and the issue is whether it is desirable. There are two arguments which I have sought to provide in favor of as well as against, and the arguments in favor resolve around the fact that we have become accustomed to a head of state who has a number of significant constitutional functions, although in most cases they are not truly constitutional powers because they are exercised on the advice of the political leaders. So I think I should give some time now for some questions, because I believe in these things. It is very important that we should have interchanges and discussions once we have set out the basic foundations for that discussion. I don't know, Chair, if you have the means of, you have provided the means for persons to indicate if they wish to ask any questions.
Oh, okay, thank you, Dr. Barnett. We're gonna use the chat mechanism in terms of just, well, not the chat mechanism, but the raising of hands, and we will basically take them in sequence. Maybe one of the things I could probably start off with, Dr. Barnett, I'm glad you answered the question specifically, because you know you did that. But in addition, may I also bring in the point about what people have wondered about, whether the process, about whether it would be appointed or the other way of arriving at who would be the president. Do you have any specific views on that, if we were to say it is desirable?
If you're going to have a president in a Republican form, and you can adopt any name for the former head of state, we could call him chieftain, or, you know, we can adopt find a Jamaican word to call him. It need not be called president. But if we're going to have a former head of state, what it means, as I've tried to explain, is that that person will be essentially conducting formal business and not exercising truly executive powers, as does a prime minister. And once we retain our basic constitutional system of a parliamentary cabinet government, then you have an elected prime minister and not an elected president. And that elected prime minister is head of the political executive, formulates the cabinet, which determines public policy and presents it, the proposed legislation to Parliament, which passes the laws, imposes taxes, and discusses public business, and holds through the legislative parliamentary process, holds the executive accountable. And that is done chiefly because if you have a multi-party system, then the parliament will consist of representatives from other political parties who will challenge and question the majority government. So that the head of state in that situation, as I say, need not be the political head of state. You can have a separate formal head of state, and that formula state would have no political power. There's
Okay.
someone question.
Thank you for that response, Dr. Barnett. Who would like to go first in terms of clarifying any issue that was raised by Dr. Barnett or that you had in your own mind that you wanted a resolution to?
I had a question.
Okay, go ahead, Hugh Dunbar. Go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to find out, and I did write it in the chat. What if we had an elected president and did not bother with the prime minister? Would that be a challenge regarding or the members of parliament who would be representing the people in such a situation?
Well, when you say an elected president, I'm not sure if you are just using the formality, because you could call the prime minister president and have the same system that we have now. So that an elected president usually is a question of a completely different system of government, as in the United States, where it's a presidential system. And the president exercises powers which are specifically given to him or her personally, and is not controlled directly by the elected legislature in respect of the exercise of those powers. In some constitutions, as in the United States, such an elected president needs the support or approval of the elected legislature in order to impose certain taxes and pass certain legislation. But you have a separation of powers in which the executive is distinct from the executive, and that is called the presidential system, whereas we have the parliamentary cabinet system. There are lots of persons who have been saying, why don't we adopt the American system? I am personally against it because the comparative history of constitutional experience throughout the world is that countries which switch to the presidential system often end up with dictatorships, because the combination of personal direct power as well as the control of the parliament frequently ends up with a dictatorial regime. And we have seen that in a lot of African, Asian, and South American countries And the United States, we have seen in the last few years, have been a shamble in relation to the principles of good governance. And it's only because of its wealth and expansiveness and the fact that it has another factor which is critically important, and that is separate states with specific powers, that democracy, in my view, has been retained in the United States. So that it's a dangerous path to follow. It looks attractive, but I'm hoping that Jamaica will not take that course.
Dr. Barnett, if I could just do a follow-up to that. Isn't our present Prime Minister akin to a president in terms of the power that he holds within the Constitution today?
Some people will say that he holds greater powers because of the fact that in our system, a prime minister also controls or is head of the controlling majority in the legislature. So that you have a combination of executive and legislative power in one party headed by one person. So that looked at in that way, it seems that the parliamentary system gives great powers to a prime minister. But the fact of the matter is that the fact that he is part of a team essentially is not the same personality cult, which dominates United States politics and some of the South American countries which we have been able to compare with. The fact is that there is not that dominance in which one person stands out and has separate powers, which are not easily controlled. And if you have a system which doesn't have the checks and balances and the political diversity, economic strength that the United States have, you can easily have a situation in which that type of power is abused and gets out of hand. As I've said, several studies have indicated that the dangers of going that route and the extent to which countries which adopt that system have fallen into military and other types of dictatorships.
Okay, I'd like to go to the next person who has his hand up, and that is PDT Ralston. Go ahead, PDT. Ralston, your time, or you're not ready?
I'm ready. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Barnett, I want to thank you for your presentation. And at this point, you have not disappointed, as you always makes great presentation. My concern is that what you're embarking on now could be seen as a monumental change, to change a constitution, to change a system of government. But it's very fundamental to every single Jamaican. And I think that it should require widespread education and consultation. What I see now on the television town halls, which really happens in my mind to be a stage show, does not get to the wide population that I would want to see it go. I sense that there's an undue haste in rushing this thing, and maybe it should take a longer process, a more widespread engagement of Jamaicans so that we can make a decision, because we understand that we had a referendum once, which was, in my mind, manipulated, and the people did not even know what they were asking to make a decision on. What is your perspective, please?
I'm not sure it is fair to say that they did not know what they were deciding on. Jamaica had some misgivings about the federation, and it was not without some reason, because there were statements made by the head of the federal government and Bradley Adams from Barbados, which suggested that Jamaica would be at some type of risk, and the Jamaican Labour Party, headed by Sir Alexander Bosomanti, took an anti-federal approach and campaigned against the federation. So the referendum was held and the people voted against the federation. I don't think it can be said that they did know why they voted in that referendum. I think it might be that the factors were not sufficiently put before them. That's what the persons in favor of the federation would say. So that, in my view, the need for consultation is important, and I take your point on that, and it should be widespread and substantial. But one of the things we have to remember, though, that what we are talking about, and I regard two things as what I have been describing as imperatives. Those are, one, to remove the shackles of the English throne. Two, to have a Jamaican instrument as our constitution. Because what we have as our constitution now is an order in council made at Buckingham Palace in London, signed by an Englishman that we have never known. So that I'm saying that those are imperatives. I don't think any Jamaican should want to live any longer with those colonial mantras. So that although the announcement by the minister indicated a somewhat maybe hasty timetable, I believe some urgency is needed, because we have had several of these constitutional reform projects in the 60 years of our independence, and we have yet not removed ourselves from the monarchical form. So that I believe that there's some urgency in that, but I accept the point that despite the urgency, there should be full public consultation, and before that, even full public education on the pros and cons of any changes that are recommended. But I think those two changes, I don't think there are many Jamaicans who are opposed to those two basic changes, which I think we should try to proceed with. Both those two changes require a referendum. Some other changes which are maybe important or desirable do not require a referendum, so that we can, as a first step, make sure that we achieve the objectives of making those two important reforms.
Thank you, Doc. When you refer to both, you are including the Privy Council, I assume.
No, the Privy Council is three. I didn't try to complicate it, but from my point of view, that would be the third. The first is to have a Jamaican constitution made in Jamaica by the Jamaican people and its parliament. And the second is the removal of the monarchical form.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to DLG Joe. Thank you for that response, Dr. Barnett. DLG Joe, your hand is up.
Thank you very much. Dr. Barnett, I would like to be a little more specific, and I hope I'm not putting you on the spot. But in your opinion, can you give us the best form of Republican system to proceed on and how would it work?
You see, the Republican, it's difficult to speak of a Republican system. Republican is a form. I have been using contrast to monarchy because the Republican form is when your head of state is an individual who is not from a royal lineage. So that person can be nominated or elected, but it's not a hereditary or a designated position. It's not royalist in its nature. So that in that case, it will be a republic. But you can have a republic which is a parliamentary cabinet system, such as you have in Trinidad or Dominica. You can have a republic which is a presidential system, which is what you have in the United States or in Brazil or any other places which you have seen disruption recently, but you can, the parliamentary cabinet system that we have is also sometimes erroneously referred to as Westminster system. But there are lots of countries outside of the Commonwealth which have a similar parliamentary cabinet system and which have a good record of democratic government. In fact, when people keep saying that, Jamaica is not doing so well and it's because of the political system, that's wrong. It can be because of the policies. It's not the system. And there are many countries with a parliamentary system that does very well. And you just need to examine the world indices on economic performance, as well as on the maintenance of freedom and democracy. And you'll find that parliamentary cabinet systems are usually at the top. And Republican systems are usually at the bottom.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Barnett.
Okay. Thank you, DLG Joe, for your contribution. DP Arturo, your hand is up.
Thank you, DP Stewart. Dr. Barnett, my question is simply this. How can we ensure in the revision of the Constitution at this point in time, which that section of it which requires a referendum to remove the monarchy, how do we ensure that it does not degenerate into a partisan political contest, which would then mean that people would adopt the sides of the political party that they are affiliated with or like, and not consider the more serious aspect of removing the monarchy and dealing with those issues?
Well, we are fortunate, we are fortunate in that from all indications, both political parties, both of the leading political parties are in favor of removing the monarchy. This has become clear only recently, but because there was some sort of hesitation or doubt as to what exactly was the position of the Jamaican Labour Party. But I think it is clear now from all that has been said by the Prime Minister and the Minister responsible for Constitutional Affairs that they have now taken the position that the monarchy should be removed and that we should become the Republic of Jamaica. They have also, I think, I'm hoping, agreed that we should have a Jamaican constitution made in Jamaica rather than the ordinary council which now governs us. I do not believe that I've not seen any evidence that the government party, the Jamaica Labour Party, has yet decided that we should remove the Privy Council as our final court of appeal. They have not made any clear pronouncement on that.
Thank you very much, Dr. Barnett.
Okay, just let me get in two quick ones, Dr. Barnett. You ended on this note about the Privy Council. I've heard people say that it's contradictory to talk about leaving the monarchy and then still maintaining the Privy Council in England. That's the final court of appeal. That's one. The other one is, the other argument that I hear on the street is, why don't we use this opportunity, which has changed, which affords us the opportunity to make change, to make changes in how we govern. For example, can we make better use of the Senate in terms of how decisions are made and how the laws are passed? Maybe it's fine as it is, but I just want to throw that out. Could you comment, please?
I think we can always improve our parliament as a whole works. I'm not satisfied that our parliament has worked as well as the system allows, or even the current standing orders permit, because when last have you heard of any important private member's motion, apart from one member's motion on the banking charges? How many private members' motions have you heard of, or questions from members of parliament? On the occasion when I served as a senator, and we had a number, 8 independent senators, we filed numerous motions and many questions. And I don't see where the government ministers are being pressed to answer questions or to debate private members' motions, so that the parliamentary system allows for a considerable amount of dialogue and holding governments accountable. And it is for all parliamentarians to step up to the plate.
And the other part about the Privy Council, in terms of, is it?
You see, the Privy Council, and we have to remember, we have to accept, despite our leaving the Federation, we have to accept that we have a common history of colonialism, of fighting against slavery, of the development of labor movements, of philosophies, especially related to the Caribbean, like Garveyism, in which we share a common heritage. And we came together after more than 100 years of discussion of the possibility of doing it and establish a court. It is not a court of any one country, it's a court of the Caribbean nations, which we established, help to finance, and it exists now as an independent body of high quality. On its formation, you will recall that the Most Honorable Edward Seaga, who was the one who probably more than anyone else prevented Jamaica from joining in the Caribbean Court of Justice, said that we should give it 5 years to see what is the quality of its judgment. Now, when 10 years passed, we had a seminar in Jamaica in which I had the privilege of reviewing and extending an analysis of the judgments of the Privy Council. And it was amazing when I studied those judgments, how high the quality was and comparable to the best final courts in the Commonwealth, including Australia, New Zealand, and the Privy Council itself. So that we should not doubt our combined abilities to maintain a court of the highest standard. I remember speaking with a good friend of mine, an English King's Counsel now, who appears in a number of Caribbean cases. And he said, how is the proposals for the adoption of the Caribbean Court of Justice going? And I told him that we weren't making any progress. And he indicated that he didn't mind that. And then I thought, this is a very liberal person. I thought, you know, that's strange for you to say that. And he said, well, whilst the appeals come here, it's a source of income for me. But I confess that I've been reading the judgments and they're of the highest quality. You know, so that we shouldn't hesitate to have confidence in our own capabilities. And I believe that the Caribbean Court of Justice has demonstrated that we have the ability to, in combination, to create and maintain a court of the highest quality.
Okay, thank you for that. We have to be winding down, but we're gonna take a few more. I see Marcel, DP Marcel has his hands up, and after that, we can take probably two more. Go ahead, DP Marcel.
Yes, thank you, DP Stewart. I'm sorry to join late, but just to say quickly, in support of what Dr. Barnett just said, I think the greatest example is GCE and CXC, which I would posit that what we have is better than what we used to have on a GCE, especially given all as it relates directly to us. But just back it up on the matter of what you mentioned earlier on. I don't know if it was covered before about the lack of participation by backbenchers and things. I see the opportunity should be taken to look at the whole matter of governance, the matter of poverty. Because I think one of the problems here is that we don't really have two members of parliament representing their constituencies. And part of that is that there needs to be a complete separation, what you may call the executive, from the members of parliament. My view, I say quickly, is that one of the things we could have and should have is where the executives, the ministers, administered, by the way, should be fixed ministries, and they should be totally independent, not drawn from the parliament at all, so that there won't be this thought and scope of seeking to, you know, gain ministerial positions and so on, and just maybe we will have a more robust kind of representation where they will hold, as MPs representing their constituency and the people, hold the ministers in their portfolios, hold their feet in the fire. That's one way of thinking. One of the things I think we should consider as we look at the whole thing.
Well, you're talking more about the American type of system, which, as I pointed out earlier, doesn't work very well because it is based upon to ensure that the president had the power to control the states, so that I think, as I said, the system has not proven to be the better of the two basic systems. I would think that the way in which you hold the persons with power accountable is that they have to report to the representatives of the people. And the representatives of the people are the persons elected to the House of Representatives. So anyone who exercises power and make laws, formulate laws, should come to the House where the people's representatives are and justify the action being taken.
Okay.
Agreed. I just to say quickly, I wasn't thinking of fashioning in a carbon copy fashion manner the US system, but also fashion our own, But
Yeah,
that's
I
already
mean, as I have mentioned before, there are some areas in which we can strengthen our system and improve it. And we shouldn't downplay the fact that Jamaica has been in the forefront of establishing mechanisms for accountability. Apart from the existing ones like the Accountant General's independent constitutional powers, the Integrity Commission, and specific rules relating to government contracts. What we want to do is make sure that the systems that we have introduced to enhance monitoring and increase accountability are efficiently administered. You don't have to change the whole system. You need to make the components more efficient.
Yep.
Okay.
Mr. President?
Is this you done? But okay.
It is.
Just a second. You had 2 shots before, but anyway, go quickly and let's move on. Go ahead.
Sir. Dr. Barnett, I know you're probably aware of the conversation that took place in Parliament between the Auditor General and a particular Permanent Secretary, during which the Permanent Secretary stated that he would not be forced to divulge information because there was nothing in the law that made what he did illegal. So there are issues where the Constitution seems to suggest but does not hold accountable. Would that be something that could be considered a reasonable approach to make it a legal requirement when a commissioner, such as the Auditor General, requests information from a body that's accountable to the Parliament? And that was it. That's it for today for me.
Yes, but again, as I said before, it's not every constitutional improvement requires changing the Constitution. There are important laws which are of constitutional significance, which affect the system and how it operates, which are not in the Constitution itself. And we need to pay attention to those laws too, and to ensure that they are administered fairly and efficiently, so that whether it's the Integrity Commission, whether it's the Public Defender, the Children's Advocate, all these are institutions which are operating in a constitutional context, although they are not established in the Constitution.
Okay, quickly, let's move to the 2. Okay, this is Horace Edwards. Yes.
Oh, that's correct. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Dr. Barnett. Very quickly, Dr. Barnett, do you think there'd be any merit in having an elected president, directly elected president, alongside an elected prime minister? Right.
No, I think it is a duplication, and what is the? I don't think there's a need for that. There's very few countries that have that sort of duplication. It's likely to cause confusion and conflict. I don't think you should have 2 parallel elections.
Because one of the problems that we have in Jamaica is a lack of accountability, right? And having a prime minister who basically picks his friend to be the president or the governor general, right? There's no real separation of powers. There's no real accountability. That's my only concern.
We have accountability. The question is how we make it more effective. And we've been discussing some of the means by which that can be done. But having 2, what do you mean that you need 2 more sets of systems, and it might be more difficult. I don't know how duplicating it would solve that problem. What you need is to ensure, one, that the person who exercises executive power is responsible to the elected representatives of the people. 2, that there should be mechanisms to ensure accountability, removal of any risk of corruption, and methods of continuously monitoring the efficiency of the policies that they make and the manner in which they execute those policies.
Agreed. And my last quick point was I saw on TV where the Governor General cost the country $300 million a year, right? That is a lot of money for a ceremonial head of state for a country that does not have a lot of money, right? So again, I think all of these factors need to be taken into account in the decision-making process.
You mentioned that earlier, and that's one of the arguments that the question posed for discussion this evening. That's one of the factors of some importance which we need to consider. And I got into some details as to alternatives which are possible. And I believe that a lot of Jamaicans are making that same decision in their own thinking about it, is whether or not the cost is justified in regard to the essential formality of the post.
Okay,
Thank you.
And
VP Stewart, just one
yes.
question of Dr.
Right.
Barnett. Dr. Barnett, I observe, and I'm not quite sure that Russia has both an elected president and an elected prime minister, but it seems whoever dominates is able to take charge of the situation, as exhibited by Putin, who served as prime minister when his terms of office as president ran out and then went back to serve as president, which would seem to deal with the whole question of having these two elected positions being not necessarily an ideal way to move forward with the concept of the president and the prime minister serving. I don't know if you can shed any light on that.
The essentials of democracy, and
Yeah.
this is fortunately something which we began with from 1944. The essentials of democracy is free and fair elections. And when we came on the threat, one of the great things that Jamaica did was the establishment of the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, because we were headed for serious trouble if that had not been done. So that we had elections that people felt that whoever is elected was the representative and choice of the people. If you don't have that, you're headed for confusion and the collapse of the democratic system. So that when you go to a place like Russia, when the election is just a name, it's not truly an election, and it is very important that we should value the electoral system that we have and encourage more people to participate, because one of the greatest dangers we have seen recently in Jamaica is the low voter turnout. Because if people are not interested in the democratic process, then democracy is in danger.
Okay, I think we have come to the end of what has been a fascinating evening in terms of the discussion. And so let me just personally say thank you to Dr. Barnett. But to do the official thank you, I'm going to call on President Designate for the Kiwanis Club of Barbican, Caris Honest.
Oh my God.
Mr. Cephas, please close your mic.
Push-ups.
Right. President Designate Caris Honest to do the vote of thanks.
Everyone, I hope you're hearing me. Good evening to our distinguished members, Kiwanians, prospects, and guests. Dr. Barnett, on behalf of the Kiwanis Club of Barbican and Kiwanis Club of Kingston, thank you for making yourself available this evening to share your knowledge and perspective on our topic this evening. As we can see with our over 120 attendees, I know not just Kiwanians, but Jamaicans on a whole are trying to comprehend how we will change and you have really given us some great points to think about. So we truly look forward to what's next for Jamaica. Again, thank you for being here with us.
Thank you.
And there is a certificate of appreciation, which from both of our clubs, and it will be my responsibility to get it to you. Well, we have a good contact to make sure that happens. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Junior.
Okay. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Barnett. I'd just like to take a time out to ask someone to move for an extension of time to finish our meeting. It has been a very interesting conversation.
So for extension for the next 10 minutes.
Right. Thank you.
Seconded.
Good. Okay. And we continue with this. Next item, or Sarge. Sarge. Chairman,
remember he wasn't here at the beginning. I'm not sure if he came after.
Do a blanket fine.
Yes, okay. If the Sarge is not here, I just ask those Kiwanian, members of the Kiwani store, Kingston and Barbican, I think in this case, to pay a blanket fine of $300. Okay? We'll move to notices and announcements.
I don't think you can find Barbican. You have to allow your president to find it.
Okay. Okay, so it's for the members of the Kiwani store of Kingston.
So you should ask Barbican president.
Yeah.
To know, yeah.
Good evening again, everyone. The same fine for Kiwani's Club of Barbican members online, and I've noted all of you, and we're putting it on record that you guys should pay a blanket fine of $300 per member.
Okay.
You go, girl, you go.
Well done, President.
Yes, nice shot there. Okay. Oh, so we move now to announcements. We start with DLG William.
Thank you, President Junior.
Yes.
Just one or two announcements. Please note that next Tuesday, May the 16th, is the date of our annual general meeting and election of officers and directors. In this regard, at next week's meeting, which will be May the 9th, nominations from the floor may be made for any office, and when so made, together with the list submitted by the nomination committee, shall then be the list of nominees submitted for election of officers and directors. Okay. Each officer and director and nominees for same must be a member in good standing with the club. So any qualified consenting member may be nominated either in advance or from the floor next week, according to the club policy. Just a reminder that the Eastern Sea District Convention is being held in Quebec City, province Quebec, from 18th to 20th. Our registration is now closed. The proposed date for the Mid-Island Past Lieutenant Governor's Convention at Cardiff Hall Hotel is Sunday, July the 9th, but there may be a change in terms of date. We will advise you accordingly. In terms of interclubbing opportunities, we will be visiting with Kiwani's Club of New Kingston at their meeting tomorrow, which starts at 6 o'clock. Those are all the notices, announcements, and interclubbing opportunity. At this time, you may want to ask Kiwani's Club of Barbican if they have any announcements that they wish to make. Thank you, President.
Thank you, DLG. President Chantal?
Yes, so
do we have any announcements?
Yes, we do. For the Kiwani's Club of Barbican, we have a few activities coming up for the month of May. On May 13th, we'll be going to Bethlehem Children's Home, starting at 9 a.m. to fellowship and aid in feeding and interacting with the children in that home. We're also going to be donating Pampers because that is what the home said that is their greatest need. So we're going to be donating a full case of 100 Pampers to the shelter. On May 16th is our second meeting for the month of May. It's going to be a games evening. So we're inviting everyone out to that meeting. It's in person. It's going to be at the Jamaica Employers Federation, and we will start at 6:30. On May 20th, we have our joint feeding project with the Kiwanis Club of Kingston and the North Street Seventh-day Adventist Church. And we have our Labor Day project coming up, which should be on the 27th of May. Further details will be shared in the club group WhatsApp on the details for that. That's it for us.
And thank you again, President Chantal.
President Junior?
Yes. Yeah,
I'd be remiss if I did not advise the members that we are planning to do a Labor Day project at the Secretariat.
Right.
Which will be doing a little cleaning up, the remaining cleaning up of the grounds surrounding the Secretariat. We're having a look at that sign.
Yes.
As we want to sort out all the clues that have been given us over the years and sort them out. And we're looking for persons or organizations that we can give them to. So we'll be active on that day. Hopefully we can have some fellowship afterwards and play some dominoes. Thank you.
Thank you, DLG, really. And we're inviting all, most if not all the members to turn out and support on Labor Day. Okay, so we'll just move to the thoughts for the week, and we'll ask our Chairman DP Stewart to give us his thoughts.
Thank you, President Junior. The first one I have is quite short. It just says, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Okay. And the second one, I'll tell you who said this afterwards. There are obviously days I don't feel like training, but there's no day that goes by that I feel like losing. And that's a quote from Serena Williams, who's probably not going to be going back on the court since I understand that she's pregnant again with her second child. So those who are hoping for a little comeback will probably have to put that off. Back to you, President Junior.
Okay, thank you, Chairman DP Stewart. And ladies and gentlemen, fellow Kiwanians, we are now at the end of our meeting. And I'll just ask that we drink a toast to Kiwanis International and friendly Jamaica land we love. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a very robust meeting. We have certainly all of us have learned quite a bit, and we are very much more prepared now at this time to make that very important decision